than waiting for the government in Singapore to shut down RecordTV, Carlos Fernandes went on the offensive by suing his government. Now that he's won his suit, RecordTV, Singapore's Aereo, is able to operate freely.
I'm Carlos Fernandes, based out of Singapore, and my company is RecordTV. It's what you'd get when you take the internet and television and marry them together. So it's a DVR on the cloud that allows a consumer to record real broadcast television that he has the legitimate right to see on the cloud, access it through any device without the need for a set-top box or any hardware or software. Well, the whole online recording and television space and the media space, or the space in which the media intersects with the internet, is fraught with legal challenges. We had our own, and we fought for 5 years, or close to 5 years, against a broadcaster in Singapore, and we eventually won a lawsuit, but it was a tremendously trying time. It's hard to say specifically what tripped me up. Things trip me up every day. I think the greatest challenge of being an entrepreneur, and especially through this long duration of handling the litigation and then restarting the business, is really the emotional roller coaster that involves. And I think that's something that I deal with every day. And you're either at the peak of the highest mountain or at the bottom of the lowest abyss, but you really don't know exactly where you are, but you know you're at one of those two positions. I think talking to other entrepreneurs, knowing that they're going through similar challenges, I think that's particularly comforting, because the entrepreneurship journey is an extremely lonely journey, and networking, talking to them, and just sharing views, sharing challenges really helps in terms of how it puts your head together. We're at the point where we need to go global. That is tremendously exciting, but it's also terrifying, because what challenges we'll face in the global arena might be very different from what we've seen in Singapore. So it's a mix of both. I think it's very hard to categorize any event in an entrepreneurial journey as an abyss or a peak. And sometimes looking back, I really don't know where I've been on, at the same point, whether it's an abyss or a peak, it's hard to tell. So it's a story that constantly evolves, and yesterday's abyss may be looked upon quite fondly at another time. And that's happened to me. Actually, some of the worst things that have happened became some of the biggest blessings as time moved forward. So it's hard to say. I'm an entrepreneur because I think in life you get the opportunity to shape something or create something. And to create something and have other people to adopt it, use it, is tremendously meaningful. And it's that goal to see you can shape people's lives, something they do day in and day out, that's tremendously motivating. Well, if you look at television and how it has evolved, there's so much value to it. Governments subsidize it, governments invest in it it's one way you can educate people on a mass scale, you can entertain people, and you can really shape culture. And while technology has advanced, the law hasn't advanced at the same pace. And I think if we can deliver what we're doing in the way we're doing it, we've done society a great good. And that's very exciting. Well, our customers are normal consumers like you and me. They struggle with programming a DVR, deal with space running out. They want to record their television, watch it at any place, any time, at their convenience. Stuff that they're legally entitled to do. and we give them that ability. We don't trap them in having to get a license from A, license from B, and getting the same license for different activities. If they have the legitimate right to see it, we let them record it and watch it. So this is not a new ambition. Many companies have had that ambition. But it's extremely complicated to work through these various dynamics with copyright law and businesses. So what we've decided is we're going to give consumers a proposition that's so compelling by its sheer simplicity. It takes the simple concept of a DVR and moves it onto the cloud, exactly like that. I think it's the belief that you can just shape people's lives, shape consumer adoption, shape things that they do day in and day out. And if you can play, if that's a part of a world you can create, then it's fantastic. It's hard to point to one particular person. I was actually thinking about that a little while ago, and I think one of the most inspirational stories that I've heard is the story of Ernest Shackleton, who made his trip to the Antarctica. I think there are challenges all throughout life, and when you embrace them, it just really gives you that fire and that spirit inside. And ultimately, I think we are all doing it because of how it makes us feel inside, and it's got nothing to do with anything else. And it's often a mistake and happens often, but for entrepreneurs to look at themselves through other people's eyes, because ultimately, I think we're looking at ourselves through our own eyes. And if you respect yourself, and if you believe in yourself, and if you think you've done something great, then that's all that really matters.